There is a seed sitting in the bulk section of your grocery store right now that most Americans over 60 walk right past. Not because it looks unimpressive, not because it is hard to find, because nobody has ever stopped to explain what happens inside your body when you eat it every single day. I'm talking about pumpkin seeds. And today I am going to show you exactly what happens to your heart, your brain, your sleep, your joints, and your blood sugar when you eat one small handful of these seeds every day. Not occasionally, not as a topping you forget about, every single day. Because the difference between occasional consumption and daily consumption in this specific case is the difference between a passing nutritional footnote and a genuine, measurable transformation in how your body functions after 60. I'm Dr. Nova Blake, and I've been in medicine for over 30 years. And I want to be honest with you about something before we begin. For most of my career, I barely mentioned pumpkin seeds to my patients. Not because I thought they were harmful, they simply weren't on my radar. They were those small green things you might see on a salad at a nice restaurant, sprinkled on top, something decorative. Then I started reading the research, and the research stopped me in my tracks. Today I'm sharing what I found, and I promise you that by the time this video ends, you will look at this small green seed in a completely different way. Stay with me until the end, because the number one benefit that happens to your body with daily pumpkin seed consumption is something that almost no physician mentions in a standard appointment, and it may be exactly what you have been missing. Before we get into the benefits, I want you to understand what is actually in these seeds, because when you see the nutrient profile, the enthusiasm of the research makes immediate sense. A single 1-ounce serving of pumpkin seeds, which is roughly a small handful or about 2 tablespoons, contains the following. Magnesium, approximately 150 milligrams, which is 37% of the recommended daily intake. Magnesium is one of the most commonly deficient minerals in Americans over 60, and is involved in over 300 biochemical reactions in the human body. Zinc, approximately 2.2 milligrams, about 20% of the daily requirement. Zinc is critical for immune function, wound healing, and brain health. Iron, approximately 2.5 milligrams, particularly important for women over 60 who may have reduced stores. Tryptophan, an amino acid that is the direct precursor to serotonin, which is the neurotransmitter of well-being, mood regulation, and sleep. Omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids in a relatively balanced ratio. Vitamin K, vitamin E, and a family of antioxidants called cucurbitacins, unique to the pumpkin and gourd family, with documented anti-inflammatory properties. All of this in 1 ounce. All of this in a small handful that costs less than most vitamin supplements, with no manufacturing process, no pills to swallow, and no side effect profile. Now let's go through exactly what happens to your body when you eat this every day. System by system, organ by organ. First effect. Your heart becomes stronger and more electrically stable. This is not a figure of speech, this is measurable physiology. The magnesium in pumpkin seeds is one of the most important minerals for cardiac health that exists. The heart is a muscle, and like all muscles, it requires magnesium to contract and relax properly. When magnesium levels fall, the heart becomes electrically unstable. Palpitations appear. The threshold for arrhythmia drops. Blood pressure tends to rise. A landmark study published in the European Heart Journal analysed data from over 300,000 patients and found that people with the highest blood magnesium levels had a 22% lower risk of coronary heart disease compared to those with the lowest levels. 22% lower risk from a mineral, abundantly present in a seed you can buy at any grocery store. But magnesium is only part of the cardiac story. Pumpkin seeds are also rich in phytosterols, which are plant compounds with a structure similar to cholesterol. Phytosterols compete with cholesterol for absorption in the intestine, reducing the amount of LDL cholesterol, the so-called bad cholesterol, that enters circulation. A 2012 study in the Journal of Functional Foods showed that regular phytosterol consumption can reduce LDL cholesterol by between 10 and 15%. For a patient over 60 with borderline cholesterol, that reduction can be the difference between starting a medication and managing the situation through diet alone. Second effect: your blood pressure begins to come down. Not immediately, not dramatically, but consistently and measurably over weeks of daily consumption. The primary mechanism is again magnesium. Magnesium is a natural vasodilator. It helps the walls of blood vessels relax, reducing resistance to blood flow and lowering blood pressure as a result. A meta-analysis published in the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition that combined the results of 34 randomized clinical trials with over 2,000 participants concluded that magnesium supplementation reduced systolic blood pressure by an average of 2 points and diastolic pressure by 1.78 points. Those numbers may sound modest, but in blood pressure management, every point matters. And this effect comes not from a pharmaceutical drug, but from eating a daily handful of seeds. Third effect: you sleep deeply and wake up rested. This is one of the most surprising and simultaneously most documented benefits of pumpkin seeds. And it is particularly relevant for Americans over 60, because sleep disturbances increase substantially with age. The mechanism is genuinely fascinating. Pumpkin seeds are exceptionally rich in tryptophan. Tryptophan is an essential amino acid and the direct precursor to serotonin. Serotonin is then converted in the pineal gland with the help of darkness into melatonin. And melatonin is the hormone that governs your sleep-wake cycle. So eating pumpkin seeds regularly supports natural melatonin production through this biochemical chain: tryptophan, serotonin, melatonin. It is not a sleeping pill. It creates no dependency. It is simply providing your body with the raw material it needs to regulate sleep naturally, the way it was designed to. A study published in Nutritional Neuroscience showed that tryptophan consumption, combined with a complex carbohydrate, such as eating pumpkin seeds with a small amount of whole grain crackers or oatmeal, significantly improved sleep quality in participants with mild to moderate sleep disturbances. The best timing for pumpkin seeds, if your primary goal is improving sleep, is the evening, approximately 1 hour before going to bed. A small handful, alone or with something light. I have a patient, a retired teacher named Patricia, 67 years old, from Raleigh, North Carolina. She described her sleep as broken for years. She would fall asleep late, wake at 3 in the morning, lie awake for an hour or two, and drag herself out of bed exhausted. She had tried several medications, none satisfying. When we incorporated pumpkin seeds into her evening routine, alongside some lifestyle adjustments we had already been working on, her husband told me at the next follow-up that Patricia was sleeping through the night for the first time in years. Not occasionally, consistently. Fourth effect: your prostate is protected. This is the most extensively studied benefit of pumpkin seeds, and it is specifically relevant for men over 60. Benign prostatic hyperplasia, which is the non-cancerous enlargement of the prostate gland, is one of the most common health problems in American men after 50. It causes difficulty urinating, the need to get up multiple times at night, and the sensation that the bladder is never fully empty. It is rarely dangerous, but significantly reduces quality of life. Pumpkin seeds contain zinc, beta-cytosterol, and other compounds that have been shown to interfere with the conversion of testosterone to dihydrotestosterone, which is the hormone responsible for abnormal prostate growth. The European Food Safety Authority has approved a specific health claim stating that regular consumption of pumpkin seeds contributes to the maintenance of normal prostate function. This is not alternative medicine. This is an official regulatory assessment based on a review of the scientific literature. A clinical trial published in the Journal of Medicinal Food followed men with mild to moderate benign prostatic hyperplasia for 12 months. The group that consumed pumpkin seed oil regularly reported a 30% improvement in urinary symptoms compared to the placebo group. For men over 60, who are waking up 2 or 3 times a night to use the bathroom, this benefit alone makes incorporating daily pumpkin seeds worth serious consideration. Fifth effect: your joints hurt less. Arthritis and joint pain are among the most common causes of reduced quality of life in Americans over 60, and one of the most effective nutritional tools for combating joint inflammation is one that is almost always overlooked. Pumpkin seeds contain cucurbitacins, unique antioxidants specific to the gourd family, with potent and documented anti-inflammatory properties. They also contain omega-3 fatty acids that play a fundamental role in the modulation of systemic inflammation. A study published in the Journal of the Science of Food and Agriculture found that pumpkin seed extracts significantly reduced inflammatory markers in experimental models, with an effect comparable to that of some non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, but without the gastrointestinal side effects those drugs so frequently cause. This does not mean pumpkin seeds replace medications. It means that consumed daily within the context of a globally anti-inflammatory diet, they can contribute meaningfully to the reduction of chronic pain and joint stiffness. I have a patient, Robert, 72 years old, a retired contractor from Phoenix, Arizona, who had been suffering from knee arthritis for years. He had stopped hiking, which he had loved. He avoided stairs whenever possible. After 6 months of daily pumpkin seed consumption, alongside other dietary changes, he came to his appointment and told me something I remember vividly. He said, "I went on a hike last Saturday. 3 miles. I can't remember the last time I did that." Sixth effect: your brain is sharper and your mood is more stable. Magnesium has a crucial role not just in cardiac health, but in brain function and emotional regulation. Magnesium deficiency has been associated with increased risk of depression, anxiety, and cognitive decline in adults over 60. A large study published in the Australian and New Zealand Journal of Psychiatry that analysed data from over 8,800 adults found that those with the lowest magnesium levels had a significantly higher risk of depression and anxiety compared to those with adequate levels. And the tryptophan in pumpkin seeds, as the precursor to serotonin, contributes directly to mood stability. Serotonin is not only the neurotransmitter of sleep, it is fundamental to mood regulation, to the experience of well-being, to the ability to manage daily stress without being overwhelmed. When both magnesium and tryptophan are consistently adequate, which daily pumpkin seed consumption can help support, many of my older patients report a quieter, more even emotional baseline. Less irritability in the evening, less of that wired but tired feeling that disrupts so many people over 60. Seventh effect, your blood sugar levels begin to stabilize. This is particularly relevant for the millions of Americans over 60 who are living with pre-diabetes or type 2 diabetes. Pumpkin seeds have a very low glycemic index. They contain protein and healthy fats that slow the absorption of sugars at the intestinal level. And magnesium, once again, plays a key role because it is directly involved in cellular insulin response. A study, published in the Journal of Diabetes and Its Complications, found that pumpkin seed consumption improved glycemic control markers in patients with type 2 diabetes, reducing fasting blood glucose and hemoglobin A1C levels over the study period. If you have diabetes or are at risk, pumpkin seeds do not replace your medications or your physician's guidance, but they can be a meaningful nutritional complement within the context of comprehensive blood sugar management. Eighth effect, your immune system becomes more resilient. The zinc content of pumpkin seeds is fundamental for immune function. Zinc is required for the production and activation of T lymphocytes, the immune cells that fight infections and surveil abnormal cells throughout the body. Zinc deficiency, which is extremely common in adults over 60, is associated with a weakened immune system, greater susceptibility to respiratory infections, slower wound healing, and a reduced antibody response to vaccines. Eating pumpkin seeds daily is one of the simplest and most effective ways to maintain adequate zinc levels without resorting to pharmaceutical supplements. Now, let me give you the practical protocol. How to eat pumpkin seeds every single day in a way that is simple and sustainable without dramatically changing your existing eating habits. The recommended daily amount is 1 ounce, which is approximately a small handful, or 2 heaping tablespoons. No more than that, because pumpkin seeds are calorically dense, and excess consumption could contribute to unintended weight gain over time. The optimal timing depends on your primary health goal. For cardiovascular health and blood sugar management, morning with breakfast or as a mid-morning snack. For improving sleep and mood, evening, approximately 1 hour before going to bed. For prostate health in men, timing is less critical, but consistency is everything. Every day, with any meal. Here are specific ways to incorporate pumpkin seeds into a typical American daily eating pattern. Add them to your morning yogurt or oatmeal. 1 tablespoon of pumpkin seeds stirred into plain Greek yogurt with a drizzle of honey or into oatmeal with some berries is a breakfast that simultaneously nourishes the heart, brain, and immune system. Use them on salads instead of croutons. Same function of adding texture and crunch, incomparably better nutritional value. They pair particularly well with spinach, arugula, sliced apple, and a simple olive oil and apple cider vinegar dressing. Add them to soups and stews as a topping. The heat does not destroy the minerals or the healthy fats. It simply adds a nutritious, slightly crunchy element to any bowl of soup. Keep a small container on your desk or counter as an afternoon snack. Instead of chips or crackers, a small dish of lightly toasted, unsalted pumpkin seeds stabilizes blood sugar instead of spiking it. They are also genuinely satisfying because of the protein and fat content. Incorporate them into homemade bread, muffins, or granola. This is one of the easiest ways to eat them daily without thinking about it, because they blend seamlessly into baked goods and add a pleasant texture. One important note before we close. Pumpkin seeds are generally very safe for most healthy adults, but if you have a seed or nut allergy, speak with your doctor before starting. If you are on blood thinners such as warfarin, The vitamin K content in pumpkin seeds may require dosage monitoring under medical supervision. And if you have gout, note that pumpkin seeds contain purines, though in modest amounts compared to other high purine foods. I want to close with a thought I come back to often in my work. We live in a time when the solution to every health challenge seems to require a prescription, an expensive supplement, a complex intervention. And I understand why. The healthcare system is oriented toward treatment, not prevention. The pharmaceutical and supplement industries invest heavily in communicating that complex health requires complex solutions. But the truth I learn every day in my practice is often simpler than the marketing would have you believe. One small handful of pumpkin seeds every day. Magnesium for the heart and the brain. Zinc for the immune system. Tryptophan for sleep and mood. Phytosterols for cholesterol. Beta-cytosterol for the prostate. Cucurbitacins and omega-3 for the joints and the cells. All of this in a food that costs less than most supplements, has no side effects for healthy adults, and is available at every grocery store in America. The most powerful preventive medicine is not always the most expensive. It is usually the most consistent. Tell me in the comments, are you going to start eating pumpkin seeds every day after watching this? Write pumpkin in the comments if any of the benefits surprised you today. I read every response because each one tells me this information is reaching the people who need it. If this video gave you something valuable, share it with someone you love. A husband who gets up twice a night for the bathroom, a wife who can't sleep through the night, a friend with high blood pressure or joint pain. It may make a real difference in the quality of life for someone you care about. And if you have not subscribed yet, please do that now and turn on the bell notification. Every week I bring you this level of honest, research-grounded information about what your body actually needs after 60. Take care of yourself. I'll see you in the next one.